Hi guys, Bart Robley here. Welcome to my studio. It's been a few minutes since I've put up a video in regards to the music business and how to move forward in the music business. If you look at some of my past videos, there's a big chunk of them that are just that. They're videos on how we navigate the music business as professional players and professional musicians. There's quite a few different hats that we have to wear to make these things happen. And if you're a young musician, doesn't matter if you're a drummer, a guitar player, a singer, a bass player, whatever, there are so many different things and so many pitfalls that you can fall into that can kind of put a real kibosh on a good career. So that's what a lot of my videos and a lot of my content is about. Just that. How to avoid falling into the pitfalls and how to make yourself a employable musician. That's the important part. Are you an employable musician? I'm going to be calling this series the Drum Up series. And the reason for that is I have a new book out. Yes, I'm plugging a book. Drum Up Your Business. And I'm going to be taking little anecdotes from this book and little excerpts from this book and talking about it. Um, I'll get this out of the way right up top too. If you look at my past videos, I speak from the heart. So I just kind of put the video there. Maybe I'll put a little thing up at the beginning of it, and then I let it out there into the world, warts and all. So if I make a mistake or I say something and trip over a word, it's going to be in there, but it is going to be real. So I decided to write this book, Drum Up Your Business, because it was something I think that was needed. Okay. The word drum is an acronym, and it stands for determination, relationships, understanding, and mentorship. Now, what I mean by all of that is there are so many different areas that we have to be able to navigate in the music business, once again, to be employable. And one of the things that I think that we have a problem with, that young musicians have a problem with, is the determination that it takes just to become good enough sometimes to be employable. I think there is a certain point where it's taken for granted that you can play. And so when I say that you're good enough, I'm not talking about whether or not you can play your instrument. I'm talking about whether you're or not you can go on tour, whether or not you show up on time to the recording session, whether or not if you're giving lessons on your instrument, whether it be your chosen instrument, whether it be drums, bass, guitar, whatever, if you're giving lessons, which is the M in drum, mentorship, which is very much a way that a lot of musicians make a living, is by giving lessons. Do you show up on time for those lessons? Do you show up prepared for those lessons? Do you phone it in? Right? These are all things that we have to be aware of. Once again, I'll say it again for the third time, to be employable. So what I want to talk about today is determination. I think a lot of times there is a phrase thrown around in the music business that I hear from my colleagues, from students, from everybody that I think is kind of I don't want to say it's false, but it's fleeting, and that is motivation or inspiration. If you're inspired by a musician, in this case, I'm a drummer. So let's say I'm really inspired by the drumming of Tommy Aldridge. He's a legend in the rock and roll and heavy metal community, right? And I'm inspired by him, and then I go see him play, and I'm motivated to go home and practice. But once I sit down to practice, I realize right away, wow, I don't play like Tommy Aldridge. That can be something that is very, very, very disheartening for a lot of people, especially if you're younger. So what you have to tap into is not inspiration or motivation. You have to tap into determination, because there's going to be a lot of times when you see somebody play and maybe you think to yourself, man, I'm just not as good as that person. Well, you're not supposed to play like that person. Remember, you're supposed to play like yourself. But at the same time, we're motivated and inspired to practice. And when you're practicing something, remember, you're not supposed to sound good. There's a big difference between playing your instrument and practicing your instrument. And once again, when you're practicing your instrument, you're not supposed to sound good. You're supposed to be practicing something new so that you can better yourself as a musician. And a lot of times when we sit down to practice and we're not good right out of the gates, you know, that inspiration or that motivation, there it goes right out the window. And we take the path of least resistance. And once we take that path of least resistance, you know, instead of practicing our craft, maybe we're playing a video game or we're watching YouTube videos or we're doing anything but practicing our instrument because we couldn't do it the way that we thought that we should be able to. So you have to tap into determination to get in there and get the work done. Last November, I was at PASIC, which is for the Percussive Art Society. It's their trade show that they have every November in Indianapolis. And I was hanging out with my friend Rich Redmond. Rich Redmond is a legend in Nashville. He's been playing drums for Jason Aldean for 25 years. That's how long I've been in the Sam Morrison band. He got in Jason Aldean's band the same time I got into the Sam Morrison band. And Rich is a great guy. And we were at a party at it was hosted by Sabian, and we got to talking. And I told him I was writing this book, and I asked him, if he would be willing to write a foreword for it or give me an excerpt for it. He goes, "Yeah, sure. What's it about?" And I told him. I told him the title of the book, Drum Up Your Business, and I told him the acronym. And he goes, "I love determination." And what he said, the quote that he said, he just said it off the cuff. He just said, "When motivation ends, determination picks up the slack." How simple is that? But how great is that? So, Rich, if you see this, thanks for the quote. And thanks for the forward on the book, too, by the way, my friend. So, anyway, that's what this book is about. I remember when I was younger, back in the 80s, long time ago, when I first started my life as a professional musician, I read this book called The Platinum Rainbow. And you can look it up, and I'm putting it on YouTube. I should probably know the author's name. I don't. I can't recall it right now. But you can look that up. And The Platinum Rainbow was a book much like mine that was about the things that you need to do to be a successful musician. And I always liked that book because it gave me a lot of, it gave me like certain areas that are due north, or certain things to watch out for, or certain things to do or not to do to help me along the way as a professional musician. The book was a little bit dated, so I decided to write my own, Drum Up Your Business. If you are interested in this book, if you want a hard copy of it, you can get it on my website, bartrobley.com. And if you want a digital version of it, I can say digital, a digital version of it, you can get that at hudsonmusic.com. I'm going to put links to both of those in the text below, so you can go down there and check it out. And also, if you would do me a favor, if you're watching this video and you like this content and you like what I'm doing, I'm going to ask you the same thing that everybody else on YouTube asks you. Please subscribe to the channel and smash the like button so that the algorithms will be tickled and people will see these videos. Please check back for more content as time goes on. I'm going to be putting up more videos for the Drum Up series. Once again, this is the first in a series of Drum Up videos. And I'm hoping to turn this into a 4-part book or a 4-part series of books on Drum Up. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much. And remember, determination. If you can't do it, that's okay. That doesn't mean that you won't be able to do it in 6 months or a year, whatever that it is. And remember, you want to be the best you that you can be. So until the next video, go practice, have a great day, and thanks for watching.